What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as y'all know, we did end up having the behind the scenes, the future of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown stream or video that did end up premiering yesterday. I did actually want to go through everything in this here quick and kind of do like a recap if you might have missed something, or maybe you were trying to watch some of the video and some parts might have been harder to understand, or having some weird things with like the entire caption thing there. For some odd reason, I kept seeing something about the Apollo IE engine sound. I don't know what that was about, but I did end up going back in and watching the video a second time, kind of going through each part, and I did write down notes of every single thing, so I did want to go through this. Now, I did end up kind of going through and writing down notes of every single segment, going through the important parts, and hopefully it's cool, guys. I'm just going to have some gameplay in the background of Test Drive, but I will leave a link in the description to the stream if you guys did want to skim through it and check some stuff out. Now, here's the thing. The first part of this is going to talk about the casino. So the casino is going to allow you to meet other players, play slot machines next to them and stuff like that, greet people. You're going to be able to have clothing and accessory stores in there and all that. There's also going to be one type of slot machine when the game does end up having the Season 4 update, which is obviously in the next few days or, very soon. You're also then going to have newer ones coming later on. Then they're also going to have specific car parts in there, which is honestly pretty interesting. I was like, I wonder what we're going to have, like maybe spoilers, different things like that. Again, in the future, we will know more about that. We're also then going to have poker, which will also be coming in the future. Then there was going to be a part in that stream that was going to have these special rooms you can buy. Some of them are like 500K. Really interested to see what those are going to offer. I gotta admit, I think the casino is going to be a cool feature, if it is done right. It is probably going to remind me of Grand Theft Auto a little bit, but we all do know that kind of did the entire casino thing first. The only unfortunate part, I think, with the casino is not every single place is going to have it, which I would say is definitely kind of sad, but then again, it does make sense with the entire gambling thing, and I'm also interested to see how they're going to do the entire casino thing in the future. It is also going to be getting updates with like better lighting and stuff like that and improvements, so that is probably something many people did end up expecting. And then for the next part of this, we're then going to have the entire segment of the stock races. Now, I gotta admit, this is going to be a pretty cool concept, and I feel like a lot of players are probably going to enjoy the fact that they can drive vehicles on a stock level. Whether you're going to be racing by yourself or racing with other people, it's going to make things more interesting, and you're not going to have like meta builds or some tunes or something on your car and stuff like that. So I do feel like people are going to enjoy this. If you are wondering, though, there's going to be 20 new races with stock restrictions. That is obviously going to be the beginning. Then 20 other races from progression will become stock races as well. And then it's also going to say Ibiza will have the races on rotation. And I'm guessing it's going to be similar to some of the other ones where they're going to be there, then they will rotate out, then others will show up. I feel like that would be a fine way to do it, kind of make things interesting. I do actually hope they're not going to have like one or two there, like one race total, then they're going to rotate like 20 different races. I do hope most of them will be on the map. That way players can explore and mess around with them and stuff like that. So I feel like that's going to be pretty dope. After that, though, we are then going to have the active Aero. This is something I feel like a lot of players have been asking for and definitely did end up wanting. Every single vehicle is going to produce its authentic active Aero. So they are going to be reworked to actually have better active Aero. If you are wondering, it's still going to be manually deployable. And also they're going to have an automatic thing, so that way the cars are going to have like their wings come up. There's also going to have some DRS in different positions of the wings, which is, how they come down or like they move and stuff like that depending on speed or what they're doing. So I do really like small details like this. I feel like that's pretty dope, man. I do think you're going to have a game like Test Drive. This game really does kind of go into the aspect of, it's a lifestyle type of game. It's going to have insane detail, and this is definitely going to fall into that. The next thing on this list, though, is probably going to be another part players have been asking for a minute now, which is going to be a UI redesign. Some of this is going to include a redesigned world map, customizable HUD options, and better organization. This is also going to pretty much read that it's going to be easier to read now when you are looking at the world map, which honestly, guys, this is great. I do remember people talking about this before, so this is going to be a nice change on it. They're also then going to have different menus in this. So for example, you're going to have a map menu, you're going to have the quest, also a sub menu, which is probably going to make the clutter and stuff like that, but making the quest easier to read. So again, this is going to be a nice quality of life improvement. You're also then going to be able to hide all notifications, which is honestly awesome. this is something I do know a lot of players wanted. On top of that, the player card, when you are going to see people, you're also going to be able to change this a bit, whether it's going to be lower, maybe a little bit higher and stuff like that, make it less visible. So this is again going to be pretty dang amazing. I'm sure a lot of people did hear about the entire SARD thing as well, which is going to be an anti-cheat system. I'm very interested to know what y'all think about this in the comments below, because I do know for a fact this is going to be a good thing. We all do know we're not going to want to have cheaters, obviously. That's something we do not want in a racing game, but I do kind of find it funny how they're going to be adding it, even though a lot of people cannot even do ranked and stuff like that because of the matchmaking system. So, yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit with a big change coming to that. Unfortunately, it's not going to be anytime soon. And then after that, they did end up talking about the entire group ping thing. This is going to read new group-specific pings added, multi-stop route feature, and send your itinerary to friends. I feel like this is, again, going to be a much-needed thing, but also in a racing game, if you're going to be driving in a crew of players, having this GPS setup is probably going to be pretty dang dope with a group GPS. In fact, I think the Crew 2 has it. I would probably say Motorfest has it, even though I can barely join a crew in that game because it doesn't work. But I do remember playing in a crew in the Crew 2, which sounds kind of funny. I did end up having the entire group ping. Like, if I put like a waypoint down, my friend also saw it because I was the leader of the crew, so that's going to be dope. The other thing I really like, which I feel like is a great feature, is there's going to be a multiple GPS route system. If you are wondering what this means, well, if you want to put your GPS somewhere, like for example, if you're looking at the map here, you know what, let me check out the map real quick, guys. How do you look at the map again? There it is. So let's just say you wanted to put a GPS thing right here on the map. You can actually then put this one here, then put another one somewhere like on this side of the map, which that way you can hit that one, go to the next one, have multiple different routes and stuff like that. If you're looking to go on a bigger cruise or something around the map, I feel like this is a pretty dope feature and can definitely work in many racing games for that matter. We will then end up having the car sound changes, which is going to start with the Apollo IE. I gotta admit, this is going to be great and players are going to love it. I would probably expect a lot of players probably want the other cars to sound better or maybe updates to them, which I'm going to guess and say right now that is definitely going to be a thing because they did end up saying in this that they are going to be listening to player feedback. The Apollo IE in this clip, guys, I gotta admit, at least in the stream, it sounded absolutely amazing. And I feel like if we're going to be getting that, I do also know they talked about the Diablo as well with the V12 motor and that thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we get with the engine sounds and the changes that will end up happening in the future with this. The next part is probably something many players did end up seeing in the other dev diary that was talking about the upcoming seasons and stuff like that before. I think it was a week or so ago or something. They were talking about how now ranked is going to be different in the aspect it's not going to have the car in there, but instead it's going to have increased pools of money. I think this is great. Do not put a car in a system where the matchmaking is barely working, guys. This is obviously a good step in the right direction. Also, on top of that, the ranked cars are now going to be available in the dealership on day one. At least in Season 4, you're going to see the Chiron 300 Plus in there, the Aston Martin Velar, I think that's how you say that, and the Aston Martin DB11 Volante. So if you are looking to get some of these cars, me personally, I really want the Aston Martin Velar. I think that's how you say that. Either way, I want that thing, and I really do want the Chiron 300 Plus, so that's dope. I'm probably going to guess and say the Chiron's 15 million. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments. Probably does make a lot of sense. Alongside of that, though, we're then going to have the Solar Pass, which is obviously going to be a thing in this game. But with that, the Solar Pass is going to have 3 cars in it, which I would probably say isn't that surprising. I do know back in Need for Speed Unbound, they had like 1 car, and then like level 15, there's another, which is actually going to be very familiar with this one. You're going to get a car in the beginning of it, kind of like in a quarter through it, and then level 50, you're going to get the last one. The one thing that did not make a ton of sense to me, though, is the level 50 vehicle isn't going to be exclusive to the pass, right? I guess what he was saying is it's going to be on the free and the VIP level of it. So, what's the point of buying the pass, though, if you're going to get the final vehicle in it, which normally is the special one, and it's going to be available for everybody? I was kind of wondering about that. That's a bit interesting. But I also do know they were talking about the VIP pass thing that the silver and also the gold edition players got. And what he was saying, though, guys, you do not have to use it on this pass. You can wait if you would like to. Personally, I think I am going to wait because they are going to be changing the pass on this. And what I mean by that is it's now going to be easier to level up, which is something that I think a lot of people are probably looking for. But the other part of this though did end up reading bought with a currency known as diamonds. You'll never be able to buy in-game currency with this though. After that, it's going to say in Season 5, we will give the players the ability to buy previous Solar Pass vehicles as well as other items with diamonds. This I would say is going to be great. At least that way there's not going to be the entire FOMO thing of you missing out on the vehicles forever or something. So at least they're now going to be bringing those back into the game like the Diablo, for example. I also think the other car was the e-tron, if I'm right. So if you didn't end up getting those, at least now those will end up coming back. You can buy them. The only thing I am wondering is how you're going to buy them because you have to buy it with diamonds. So I don't know if it's going to be like a crazy grind thing or maybe they're going to add a small currency. Who knows? We are going to end up seeing where this will end up going. And hopefully it will end up getting rid of the entire FOMO thing that kind of is in a lot of games nowadays. But now let's move into some of the Season 5 stuff in this game, which I gotta admit, guys, looking at a lot of the stuff in this stream and going over the notes, I would probably say Season 5 is most likely going to be one of the seasons that will probably bring a lot of players back if they don't come back in the fourth one, at least from what I would end up guessing. But there is going to be taxi missions in this one, and I did end up writing down some notes with this, so there is going to be a few different things with this that you probably haven't seen in previous games or something like Grand Theft Auto or even Test Drive Unlimited 2, one of which is going to be down to the fact that depending on the way you dress as a street or a sharp is going to matter in this. And on top of that, guys, the cars are going to matter, being locked to certain ones or different things like that. And what's funny, though, is you're also not going to be able to drive recklessly. You are going to have to kind of drive by the rules like a normal person, respecting the road rules, which is probably going to make sense if you are going to have a client in your vehicle. So this isn't like the Crew 2 to where you can drive as funny as you want, run into other vehicles. So yeah, that's not going to work in this one. On top of all of that stuff, clients are also going to ask you if they can lower windows, change the radio station, maybe switch the station and stuff like that. And they're also apparently going to ask you questions, which you're probably going to have to use the interactive menu to pick something and answer it. Most likely picking a good answer, I would say, to that. So that's going to be pretty dope. It seems like it's going to be a very interactive thing, which I think players are going to enjoy. On top of that, though, we're also then going to have the economy changes coming in Season 5. So going over this here quick, guys, I did want to read through this and give some of my thoughts and also go over the notes. This is going to say leveling in solar coins increase by at least 50%. This is awesome, especially with the fact that houses are coming later on, and a lot of players probably don't want to grind 738 races for a couple of cars that they want, so this is dope. We're also then going to see increased crown jewel payouts. 1 million solar coins before bonuses. That is amazing. I've always wanted long racing games that are going to pay this well, giving you the time that you probably deserve, putting in all that effort into a longer event. And now you're actually going to get that, man. So dope. It's then going to say balancing the degradation of rewards according to the position in races, revising how Frim works. It is then going to say increased gains on collectibles, speed traps, and discoveries. Added solar coins when completing live events in addition to the reward. The percentage of gains from driving aids will remain unchanged. More economic changes are coming at a later season. On top of all of this, guys, there's something else I did have to include into this. So yes, we are going to be having economic changes in the game, which is something a lot of players did end up wanting. I think that is great. Increased payouts, reputation, stuff like that is going to change. Apparently, they might end up doing different things with like the Frim or also speed traps and stuff like that. And also more ways to make possible money in free roam, which I would say is going to be a pretty cool change. The other thing I did want to include into this, because I would say it's part of the entire economy in this game, is they are going to be bringing back car selling, or at least bringing it into the game, which honestly is a great idea. Probably should have been something that most likely should have been in there at launch, but then again, they probably want to make sure it's right, and it's not going to disrupt the entire economy, so I kind of get that. But this is going to pretty much talk about a new NPC that allows you to sell your car, but it is going to have some catches to it. So for example, if you are driving your car a lot, putting mileage on it, that is going to lower the value of it. Do let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. I would say being able to sell your car is dope, but if you are like, maybe that's your favorite car, I would say you're probably not going to sell it, but cars just sitting in your garage or duplicated vehicles are probably going to be very easy to sell because you're not going to drive the exact same vehicle. It's kind of just sitting in there because that old bug back in the day to where you'd buy the vehicle, an error would happen, then you drop, buy it again, and you have like 5 of them. Ask me how I know. We're then going to have the graphic changes coming as well, which is going to be part of Season 5. This will end up including things like better shadowing, world time lighting, car rendering, cities and lights, and I gotta admit, some of the photos they were showing of the entire lighting differences, guys, it really does look way better, like being real. But I gotta admit, my only concern though is how is this really going to look on the PlayStation? We all do know sometimes they might not look the same, or PC is obviously going to look a lot better, so I am interested to see how this looks on PlayStation because we all kind of do know PlayStation needs a little bit of help. The other part of this is going to be less rain is coming and puddles are going to appear less. And this is probably one of the most requested things I've been seeing everybody ask for. Like, there's no reason for the roads to be damp or wet all the time. We all do know that's going to affect certain vehicles like rear-wheel drive and stuff. So, yeah, this is going to be absolutely amazing. The only unfortunate part is it's going to be Season 5. So, yeah, that's going to be a wait. They're also going to be working on the water rendering. And apparently the beaches are going to get some updates, so that's going to be pretty dope. For me, though, having less rain and also the roads constantly not being damp is going to be absolutely amazing. So I figured I would end up talking about Season 6 next and, just kind of following this in order, but it is pretty much going to be based on the entire community aspect. If you are wondering, they are going to have 4 different races you are going to choose from. The first one is going to be a detective type of mission. You're then going to have a package delivery mission, photography missions, and an adrenaline mission as well. If you are wondering, detective is pretty much going to have you look for clues. It's also going to tell you some like small stories, which I gotta admit is pretty dope. I feel like that would be a kind of a cool feature. Delivery missions are going to happen in free roam, so apparently they're not going to be separated lobbies in an instance, but you're also going to be able to do those with other people. I think that might actually be pretty fun, especially when the other things happen, which we'll talk about later. After that, though, we're then going to have the photography missions, which I would say a lot of players are probably going to be very familiar with. I mean, you have to meet a certain criteria, you take the photo, and that should end up doing it. The final mission type you're also going to be able to pick from is the adrenaline type, which pretty much has you driving aggressively to fill up a gauge. To be honest, I'm not very familiar with this, but apparently it's something from Test Drive Unlimited 2, which if you are wondering, I am currently looking for a PS3 copy of this game. I do actually kind of want to play through that fully and experience that and see what everyone was talking about with stuff. The other part though, guys, I figured I would move over to Season 7 now, which I gotta admit, this one I really feel like is going to be something that really should be priority and really should be legit added right now. It is going to be the Racing Center for Matchmaking. Remember how everyone was like, yo, we should have a big building where everyone can go there and matchmake into ranked or matchmake into races and stuff? Well, that is pretty much what this is actually going to be. You can go there. They're going to have the ranked events. You can queue up that way and join. It's probably going to be much easier. I just got to admit that this is something I think really should be a priority because the game desperately needs it. We all do know right now a lot of players don't even want to bother going through the entire thing of matchmaking in this game because they were actually talking about this in the video to where like there's a bunch of races in the game. There's like 200 or something like that. If you are going to try to join races, that's going to be people scattered everywhere. So, well, yeah, it isn't going to work. Kind of like ranked, how there's going to be 2 or 3 of them and we're going to have the region lock and no crossplay and you're trying to find events with people. That's probably not going to work that well, you know what I'm saying? So at least now we're going to have a way to matchmake, even though I just got to admit, I feel like this really should be a priority and not coming out in Season 7, which keep in mind is going to be sometime next year. So besides Season 7 with the entire Racing Center, the next one is going to be Season 8, which I'm sure everybody probably did expect and also got really excited for. They are going to be bringing houses into Season 8. Now, they did end up breaking this down a bit because the first time I watched the video, I was like, oh, cool, houses. I went back and watched it again, and I gotta admit, this actually seems pretty insane. So some of the notes I wrote down here, guys, you're pretty much going to have to go see a real estate agent and look at the houses and pretty much look at the location, the price, and stuff like that. Then you're also going to end up buying the house, obviously, depending on the one that you want. it is then going to be empty, so you're going to have to buy furniture to fill it up. Now, it did end up mentioning, though, that you're pretty much not going to be able to just place furniture anywhere. There are going to be defined spots you will have to put that, which I would say is probably not that surprising. The other parts of customization with these houses, though, are going to be choosing different floor decorations, walls, placing furniture, and also choosing your interior stuff. They said maybe in the future they're probably going to add gardens or different things outside of the house. Then they're also going to have stuff with the garage. I would say this is actually going to be pretty insane and something we really haven't seen before if they can really pull it off. I really don't know what they're going to have in GTA 6, but I would probably guess that the house customization is probably going to be better than GTA 5 in a way, so I'm excited to see what they do with that. But I gotta admit, guys, if they can pull this off, this is pretty dope. On top of that, though, you're also going to be able to invite your friends over and stuff like that. You can actually view your friends' cars on site depending on your house size. So probably having a bigger driveway and stuff, you have a bigger house, you can do this, a smaller one, then yeah, it's probably not going to be as easy to do that. The other thing that was stated in this, though, is when we are getting closer to the said Season 8 update with the houses, you are then going to start seeing the map change with different building sites. You might see cranes and stuff like that there. And you're also going to be like, yo, so this is probably going to be where one of the houses are, which I would say is going to be pretty dope. The other part of it, though, is you can explore the map and find the houses instead of using like the agency and stuff and looking around and finding them. I actually feel like that's going to be pretty dope, like exploring the map and locating the houses. So I gotta admit, guys, if they can pretty much deliver on some of this, the house update is going to be wild. There's just one unfortunate part. This is going to be Season 8. So keep in mind, this is probably going to be later next year, maybe July or something like that of next year. So literally pretty much a year from now in this. And we all do know GTA 6 is going to be out. So yeah, we're getting GTA 6 before houses and test drive. I do know everyone was saying that jokes. I saw it like 50 times in the stream. But I gotta admit, if they can deliver on this, it is going to be dope. But again, if you are excited for this, you are unfortunately going to have to wait. The other part they did end up talking about is the entire crossplay and cross-region feature, which is said to be coming in the future. But there's also going to be a small piece to that, though. They were saying that the cross-region feature is going to be something they're probably going to do first. And in the stream, though, it did end up saying we are going to prioritize the cross-region over crossplay at first, which honestly isn't that surprising. I feel like a lot of people want that basically over everything else. I mean, at least if you do have cross-region, matchmaking would get easier because PlayStation can play with PlayStation all over the world and stuff, same with Xbox. And then maybe in the future we might end up seeing crossplay. Do keep in mind, though, this is going to take a lot of time in development and stuff like that, which they did end up mentioning, because it is going to have like a bigger infrastructure thing that is going to have to be done to allow this to truly work. Overall, though, I gotta admit, a lot of this stuff really does sound amazing, but the biggest thing is, let's see how it is going to be delivered. I do know a lot of people are excited. I actually would like to see this game do good. The only unfortunate part is everybody is going to have to wait for a majority of a lot of these dope changes. I gotta say, once again, the Season 7 update bringing the entire racing center, honestly, man, that should come way sooner. I kind of thought that would be a priority. That way you can actually do races and stuff with people easier, but it seems, though, we are going to have to wait until next year for that. Also, some of the cars that are coming are going to be teased, including Pagani, Mitsubishi, Mazda, and more. So who knows what we're probably going to see in the future with that. Do let me know what you all think about this in the comments below. What season are you guys the most excited for? I would say for me, Season 4 is looking interesting. I am going to do some videos on the casino, check some things out, and go over my thoughts on the update. I gotta say, though, Season 5 is looking pretty dope. The taxi missions will be interesting. The overall KT engine upgrade, changing things in the map players have been asking for. Season 6, I would say, is going to be an odd one, though. It almost feels like not a filler season, but the kind of smaller season that I wasn't really expecting that much. Again, I feel like maybe having a real racing center would be better at Season 6, not 7. But then we're going to have the racing center at Season 7, then we have the houses at Season 8. So basically, the entire year roadmap, guys, is looking fairly interesting. But again, the biggest thing is we're simply going to have to wait for these changes. Do let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. Which one are you most excited for? And also, what are you the most worried about with this?